I usually figure about 2 cups of liquid for each person that's going to be eating nettle soup. And I counted this morning at Talking Stick, there were a dozen people here. There are a dozen people here. So I put 24 cups of water up in the kitchen to start coming toward a boil. That's 1.5 gallons of water. And we're harvesting the nettle right now, and we're going to drop this fresh nettle into the boiling water. Why do we do that? Well, plants are protected by cell walls. And the cell walls of all green leafy plants, fruits, and vegetables have to be broken in order for us to get the nutrition from those plants. So if we put the nettle into cold water and bring it up, it tightens the cell walls. Whereas if we drop the nettle into the boiling water, it bursts the cell walls. Now, once you have gotten through the cell wall, Judy, you need to cook in order to get minerals out of the plants. All right, you remember the hydrologic cycle from grade school, right? That the rain falls down on the stones and leaches minerals out of them, and those minerals go into the streams and then to the ocean. And then when the sun shines on the ocean, what happens to the minerals? Do you remember? They stay in the ocean, thus making the ocean salty, right? This is why fresh water is not salty, but ocean water is, because of those are dissolved mineral salts. And in order to get the minerals out of the nettle, we need to cook it. This is true of any vegetable or any fruit. All right, basically, when we're eating raw, we're getting no nutrition. So we're going to cook the nettle. And in many circumstances, what I will do, and I didn't want to do it today because I wanted you all to help harvest the nettle, I'll make the nettle soup beforehand. And I'll let it sit overnight. I'll cook it for an hour or so, then let it sit overnight, and then bring it back up to a boil and cook it for another hour before I serve it. Right, because this really frees up the minerals and brings them into solution into the soup.
Could you repeat about the hairs? Why doesn't the hair sting you?
The hairs don't sting you. There's a drop of acid at the base of each hair which stings you. And that drop of acid has to be flung. All right? If you went like that, you'd get stung. Because you'd trigger those hairs to fling those little drops of acid, right? But so long as you're grabbing it, now you're getting a little tingling on your fingers where you're grabbing the nettle leaf, right? All right? And who has heard about bee sting therapy? Anybody heard about bee sting therapy? It's a therapy that's used for people with chronic joint pain, arthritis, rheumatism, things like that. And there are compounds in bee stings which help to alleviate the swelling, and the same compounds in nettle. As a matter of fact, it is said that there is nettle all over the northern hemisphere because the Roman soldiers carried nettle with them and nettle seeds and planted it because they slept out on the ground so much and had such sore joints that they wanted nettle wherever they were, and they would beat each other with the nettle. They would take the nettle and they would sting their knees or their hands. Or I woke up one day and my whole thumb was like swollen up like a golf ball. I could hardly close my hand. And I took my hand and I put it in the nettles patch. And Nettle and I are so friends it wouldn't sting me. And I said, please sting me. Please sting me. And I like just shoving my hand right into it and like twisting it around. I'm like, sting me, please sting me. And finally I got really stung. And I did it again that evening and it's never come back. The swelling, the pain, nothing at all. So I think that little tingle that we get when we're harvesting the nettle is great for us. I think that it's
Yellow
part
duck.
of the this is actually
Curly duck? It's not a duck?
It's a cultivated French sorrel.
Oh, yummy.
Really yummy. And this is one of the reasons why I'm cutting the nettle back away from it.
And look who's here in the corner.
And a little giant chickweed.
Yeah.
And over here, check out this giant chickweed.
Oh my goodness.
We're going to be harvesting this
A
for
whole patch of
salad
it.
today, huh?
That's amazing.
Isn't this gorgeous?
What a gold mine.
What a gold mine.
Is that a little motherwort right in
And
there in the
a
middle?
tiny little motherwort in there, and there's some bigger motherwort.
Yeah, I saw
and
them
look at
over
this,
there.
the garlic mustard is almost going to flower.
I know, it's amazing.
It's like, wait,
Yeah.
wait. This is yellow duck.
Asparagus
here.
is already being harvested in local farms.
Yes, it's so fast. And this is the yellow duck. So
There
we
it
can
is.
see how close they look.
They look almost
They look
exactly the
almost
same.
Exactly
The herbalist's
same.
daughter mistook it.
Yes. It's easy, and it's why I have them growing right here so that we can see them. And I have a little of the sheep sorrel growing in here too, so we can
Mustard
contrast that. The sheep
greens.
sorrel is Rumex acetosella, and the French sorrel is Rumex acetosa.
Right.
You can see how close they are, and then the yellow dock is Rumex crispus. And apprentices, any of you who are apprentices, don't worry about remembering this stuff. You will, because you're going to hear it over and over and over again. Right? I think of memory like this. The first time you hear something, you can't remember it because there's no place for it in your brain. And it leaves a little trace. The second time you hear something, that trace now becomes a place. And the third time you hear it, you have a place to put it, and you can now remember it. All right. So be gentle with yourselves about remembering this. Don't feel, I have to get it all immediately. It's okay, because she's learning and she doesn't know any botanical names at all. Hey, honey, you harvesting nettle with us? Look at this beautiful purple on the back of the leaves.
You got a nice basket of nettles, Monica Jean.
Yeah.
The minimum amount of nettle that I harvest is 1 ounce for each 2 cups of water. So we can certainly put more in. I've never had anybody say, oh, there's too much nettle in this soup. And nettle is a perennial. So is it going to harm it that we're harvesting? On the contrary, it is now going to grow 2 pieces every place we cut. So we will have more and more and more nettle here and get the live-in apprentices into this garden and have them start pulling the grass out for the rabbits, since we aren't rabbits and don't eat grass. Okay, Monica Jean, I've never seen so much nettle this early in the year.
It's a good combination of high temperatures and lots of rain.
And did you see my peach tree?
In full bloom.
There's so many flowers.
It's amazing. It's getting quite big.
It really is. And you know, it lost like a third of itself last year. It had a
remember you
big
said so.
branch that just crashed because there's so much fruit on it.
Yeah.
I'm
Yep.
thinking that if my peach tree is blooming, that means all the apples in the valley must be blooming too.
Let's hope there's no frost.
I think that if you can just get through the flowering period without frost, that the little fruit is a little more hardy.
That would be good.
But I don't know. It just doesn't seem like it's going to frost again, which is so strange. I've actually seen it snow here on Mother's Day. I mean, this is we're just have to keep reminding ourselves it's April. It's April. It's April. Not May. Hey, cutie. Are we harvesting nettle?
Yeah.
Yes, and we're going to make nettle soup. Wow. My contention was always that alcohol is not a very good dissolver of minerals. And somebody who teaches science in grade school said one way that people can experiment with this if they want to is to take salt, which is minerals, right? We just established that salt is actually minerals, and take a glass of water, a glass of vinegar, and a glass of alcohol. And you can just put like 1 ounce in each glass if you want to, and take a measured amount of salt, like a teaspoon of salt, and put it in each glass and stir and dissolve it. And keep doing that. And there'll be a point at which the liquid becomes saturated, yes? Which means it can't absorb anymore. And see which one of those becomes saturated first. All right, what do you got to lose? A little bit, you're going to wind up with a little bit of salty vodka. Salty vinegar and salty water. All right, and you'll see that, yeah, the alcohol is not a very good absorber, and the vinegar is a really excellent absorber of minerals. So we could also, and probably will tomorrow, make a nettle vinegar.